The Scary Station.
Scary Station.
Right?
Yes.
Welcome, the first episode.
All
Scary
right.
Station. I was thinking of saying some kind of catchphrase, but I totally forgot.
Hey guys, this is our first episode of the Scary Station with AleKat. So I'm Kat, we have Alex, little combo.
And together we're AleKat.
Yes. For this, we are going to focus on like serial killers, weird stories, basically just like scary shit. But the first episode, we actually decided on going for a serial killer. His name is Gein. He's most known basically to be the inspiration of a lot of our cult classic horror films. And it was actually Alejandro's choice because that's his favorite.
He's my favorite.
So what do you know about him now? Before I guess I kind of go into it a little bit.
Okay, so I know that he inspired Buffalo Bill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo Bill out of that Hannibal Lecter. But my favorite was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay.
Leatherface.
Yeah.
But I was shocked. I was shooketh because I thought that it happened here.
Yeah.
But
same.
it didn't happen here.
No.
It
Because
happened
of
in
like
Wisconsin.
yeah, happened in Wisconsin, which is one state you definitely don't even think about, I guess, like at all. Aren't they known for like what is it, cheese?
No, that's Wisconsin.
I know.
Yeah. Not fucking massacring people, right? And skin in their face.
Yeah.
You know he made a lamp out of nipples? Do you know that?
No, he made a belt out of nipples,
Oh, the
and he
belt.
made a lampshade out of just
Faces,
skin.
right?
Faces, skin, all that stuff. Like I have like a little bit of a list
Okay.
about it.
Tell us.
But I guess a little bit into Ed. So he was born in 1906. So this takes place kind of like a very long time ago. A lot of the murders happens in the 40s actually. So he was from Plainfield, Wisconsin. That's kind of like where his main life is kind of at. So his nicknames were Butcher of Plainfield, the Plainfield Ghoul. But one thing is though that I kind of want, I guess like we all can like kind of discuss about a little bit. He does have some controversy surrounding him. He is definitely one of those cases where it's like, is it nurture versus nature type thing? You know, if they are born to be serial killer, kind of like Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer. Because if you look at their childhoods, they don't really have bad childhoods compared to like a lot of other serial killers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why like it kind of goes down into like that debate about Ed. And also I saw a couple of like different arguments about this while researching. A lot of people were saying they don't know if he is even considered a real serial killer, just because he technically has only killed 2 people that we know of, possibly 3. And I know like that is a serial killer, but at least like to like society standards, you know.
Right.
So that's like one thing too though.
Like you have to kill more than 2 or?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can be considered a serial killer if you kill 2 people, honestly. But, like, compared to, like, a lot of other ones that we talk about.
Oh, okay.
That's why they're like, is he even really considered, like, how is he so famous? When there's technically only 2, you know?
Right.
But, I mean, definitely if you look at the crimes that he did.
Man, why are you trying to bring my boy down? Don't bring
I'm
my
not
boy
trying
down.
to
He's
bring
a
him
serial
down.
killer.
I
And
know, but
I'm
just
not
saying.
defending what he did, right? That's horrible. But, well, he got caught, like, after, right?
Yeah, so the way, like, I'll kind of go into it a little bit, but the way he got caught is just, like, so dumb, honestly. Like, I know he's your boy, but, like, it's the little things. So dumb.
Okay.
But at least a little bit about Ed.
Alright.
So he is the second child to George and Augusta Gein. He has an older brother, Henry, and he's about 5 years older than him. So it's just them 2. It's just them 4 growing up.
Okay.
His dad, George, was a abusive, alcoholic father, especially to the boys, but he kind of stopped once they got a little bit older, when they were like old enough to fight back, but just never really held a job. Kind of like he was there, but he wasn't really there. Also because their mom, Augusta, she grew up in a very like strict Lutheran household, so into her adulthood she carried that onto raising her boys. Like she would read them Bible stories like to bed. She would mainly focus on like how the world's gonna end, everyone's the devil, girls are prostitutes, money is evil, you know, all that other stuff.
Kind of like the bad side of religion, I guess you could say.
Like she was very, very strict with them. So of course, even the dad, he was very timid with her too. So also the way that she raised them, she isolated the boys a lot. Actually, like they weren't allowed to talk to anyone. The only reason they even left the house was to go to school, and that was only up until they dropped out of school when they were still pretty young.
So they were like weirdos. They were fucking weirdos.
They were like the town oddballs. You know, they were just like, oh, they only talk to each other, or they just don't talk at all. But other than that, like a lot of people say, like reports of his like upbringing, like teachers are like, he was just a weird kid. Like wasn't bad, just was by himself all the time.
Right. So they thought.
So they thought, yeah.
Okay.
So they got when they were a little bit older. I don't know how, but Augusta, George, like the parents, they ended up owning kind of like a general store, like a Dollar General almost.
Okay.
So they got some money from that, and then once they got a lot more, they bought a farm, and then so that was very isolated. You know, like no neighbors around them, acres, and so that's how they started making their money by, you know, farm work. And then that's when the boys kind of started to actually like drop out of school or not go to school as much, just to start working up there. And then, so then a few years.
But let's be honest though, with a name with Augusta, like
That
come
sounds
on,
like
dude, that's a name, Augusta.
She kind of sounds like
Right?
a bitch, though.
Like just the name sounds like, dude, she was a fucking nut job, right?
Yeah, she was crazy, honestly. Like, but the thing too though, like no matter how bad she was towards her sons, Henry reportedly.
Who's that? The brother?
That's the older brother.
Okay.
So he listened to his mom, but he was definitely kind of like oh, I wonder what life is without mom. You know, like he was kind of always wanting some sort of like independency, but never really, I guess, did it. But while to Ed, Augusta was like the light of his life. Like whatever she said, he was like hand and foot. Like basically, like, you know, he loved his mom.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. I love my mom.
Yeah.
Do you think he was like in love with his mom?
I think so, because like a little bit later on, we'll kind of go into that a little bit more, but like some of the stuff that he was doing, especially after she passed away, it kind of makes you think like, where was that fuzzy line of how much he loved his mom? Or at least idolized his mom, that's for sure. You know, so that's when it's like, it's a little weird. But,
yeah.
I don't know, it's crazy. But, so in around 1940, their dad died. And then after the dad died, I didn't say how or anything like that. I'm assuming it's probably like alcohol poisoning or something, or old age.
Cirrhosis.
Heart failure.
The heart failure. Oh, yeah.
From alcohol?
Alcoholism.
There you go.
Okay.
Alcohol. And so after he died, that's when the boys really were, like, they, you know, basically they worked at the farm. Like, that's all they did to make ends meet for the family and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is also at the same time where they started getting kind of like those, like, odd jobs around work, around the city, I mean. So, Ed, like, townspeople knew him. They just saw him as, like, the weird guy that also worked as a babysitter. He was a babysitter.
Wait, what?
He was a babysitter.
Ed Gein.
Yes. He also worked as a babysitter.
Ed Gein? You talking about the guy with the nipple belt?
Yep.
Oh, Mr. Nipple Belt.
Mm-hmm.
Was a babysitter?
Mm-hmm. He worked at
Are you sure?
Yes.
There's no way.
Yeah, he was a babysitter, a handyman, you know, basically whatever little job.
Like a
he
babysitter
had.
that you watch babies, human babies.
Yeah. Like, hey, like, oh, my husband and I were gonna go on a little date night. Call Ed to watch the boys.
What the fuck?
Yeah. That's why people saw him as reliable, just a little weird, a little rough around the edges, you know, like, okay, he's a
Okay, so
loner.
I guess he wasn't that like weird to people, right?
Yeah, so around this time, nothing has happened, like murders or nothing like that. He's
Okay.
still just like good old Ed.
Floating around.
Good old Ed, just, you know, watching my kids while I'm at work or something. But then, so this time so Ed was in his late 30s and his brother was in his early 40s. And then this is like the first suspected murder.
Okay.
So this is ruled completely as like accident and asphyxiation, which is like smoke inhalation, all that other stuff, choking, all that.
Right.
So this was around May 16th, 1944. Ed and his brother were burning like the farm, you know, like when they burn the fields and all that stuff, or whatever. So that's what they were doing. Apparently the fire got a little bit too out of control. They called the fire department, and then they're like, hey, where's Henry? Ed had no idea where he was at. He didn't even look. He just like went home and was like, oh, I don't know where he's at. And I guess it's whatever, you know, like chill about it. So they report him missing. Police get there, and when the police asked him, like, hey, where's your brother? He was like, oh, I know where he's at. So he led him straight to his brother. He was burned. But the thing is, though, the reason why it's a little fishy, he was found face down, and he had like bruises, like on his head and stuff. So people were like, it looked like, you know, smoke inhalation and stuff, but at the same time, it's an open field, and was completely fine. Like, how do you die from that when you can just like, you know, you're outside, you're not in the house.
Right. It's not like you're in a garage, right?
Yeah. No, they were outside.
Smoking.
Exactly.
Stuff.
Cars on. Car burning on.
There you go. The car.
So that's why, like, that's one of the first suspected ones.
Wait, so they think he killed his own brother?
Yeah, they think he killed his own brother.
Then I thought I knew a lot about this guy. I guess I didn't.
Yeah, because the brother had bruises on his head, and he was like face down. You know.
Right.
It's like
on the field, right?
In the field.
Open field.
I don't know if it was the open field. I couldn't really find the exact location, but Ed basically was like, "Oh yeah, he's over there," basically, and like he led the cops straight to his brother though. So it's just like, how did you report him missing if you also knew where he was?
Right. Okay.
So that's why. But officially, they ruled it as asphyxiation.
Like an accident. Right?
Yeah. So that's why it's like it's the first suspected murder, but then again, no one really knows because it's also said at around this time that his brother was kind of saying like, you know, Ed, we should make a life for ourselves. You know, Mom, we can take care of her, but from afar, we should have our own life. And maybe Ed just didn't like the way his brother was
He
talking.
didn't like that one bit.
He was like, we're not leaving, Mom. That's our mom.
What a psycho, dude.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
that's what
man, I did not know that. I knew he had a brother, but I didn't know what happened, so I never really researched into that. Because it got onto, you know, after his mom died, that's where I started reading.
Yeah, no,
when
after
his mom died, and he
we-
became a fucking psycho, dude.
Literally, he was fucking crazy. I don't know, he was always just kind of just weird. At least from what everyone was saying, like he was just weird. Like he would laugh to himself, and like Joker style, you know, just like walking along the streets. Just, like,
Oh, okay, I was about to say, cause like I laugh to myself, you know, like I'm like thinking of something funny.
well, like,
like
yeah,
that.
sometimes you think, but you're not like, you know, sitting here and then all of a sudden you're like crying, laughing. Either.
Yeah, no, fuck no. I don't
Yeah.
think so. Not that I remember.
Well,
I do laugh, so I'm like, damn. But nah.
I don't know. I
like
mean, none
that.
of your lampshades look pretty suspicious.
No,
so I think
no.
we're fine.
I don't have a nipple belt.
Yeah, and you also don't have skin chairs either.
No.
So.
Well, I mean, it's a cow skin,
But
right?
you didn't. I don't know. Did you kill the cow?
No,
Well, then there you go.
I saw it.
I guess like the Googles are fine to yourself. But then, this is kind of leading up a little bit before the first murder. Because at least when I was researching, no one really talked about his first murder. And all of her, like, the descriptions of what happened were so short. So I
Right.
just feel so bad for her.
Yeah, because I watched a whole documentary and didn't say anything about his brother.
About the first one, or like the brother or anything. It's mainly like the one that got him caught, which is so sad. But at least a little bit beforehand. So now his dad and his brother are gone. His mom basically like, I think she kind of like died of a broken heart too, because she had like a series of strokes.
I don't think Augusta had a heart.
Well, maybe it's just as like that's her baby though. She probably was like, I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, fuck. Let's just say she did.
I don't know, maybe, but she had a series of strokes. So of course, you know, Ed was like taking care of his mom. Only thing, didn't talk to anyone, didn't date during that time. He was already like well into his 40s too at this point. So he was kind of like an old man,
Right.
taking care of his mom, which isn't bad. But this is a teen, so a little crazy. But his mom ended up dying about like a year after his brother. So now he's by himself, all by himself in his farm, this big old house. What is he gonna do now?
I'll tell you what he's gonna do.
How is he gonna stay busy? So now that he's by himself, this is what I mean, like with how much he idolized his mom. This is kind of like where it started. So all of the rooms that she, I guess, like mainly stayed in, like her room or like the living room, I'm not too sure. I just said like her rooms, like multiple at least.
Right.
He boarded them up completely, like from the outside, so like no light went in, but he kept them like pristine, super clean. Everything was in its place.
What does that mean? Like perfect?
Yeah, like he kept up with it, like not dirty at all, as if like she never left type thing.
Okay.
But then the rest of the house was just disgusting. It was not kept up,
Nipple
dirty, like dirty, just like it's complete opposite of what he did with his mom's rooms.
Right.
So that's like the thing that well, at least when they found it, they're like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But around this time, he still did continue like the odd jobs, you know, just kind of like around town. He did start to socialize a little bit more now, you know, talking to the locals if he went to the bar or like all the other stuff. But still, people only knew him as like, oh, it's Ed. It's Ed.
Right.
Little Ed. Whatever.
He was like the weird guy that everybody knew.
Yeah, he was like the guy at the local bar. They were like, oh, that's just Ed again, I guess. You know, no one really thought too much of him, I guess.
Right.
Either. But now we'll go on to his first murder. So her name was Mary Hogan, I believe.
Was she related to Hulk Hogan?
Me?
That
Probably
would be
like a
super
distant
cool.
cousin.
Right?
I don't know, she was already 51 though, so she was pretty old.
Because Hogan is like, okay, so.
You know, I mean, this happened in what,
Yeah,
54?
brother.
So what, Hulk Hogan was probably like.
He's old as shit.
That is true.
I'm pretty sure that was like his thing or something.
Do you think he took like a shit ton of steroids?
Who?
Hulk Hogan?
Do you want me to answer that?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure, right? Like every athletes, you know.
Probably.
Steroid. I mean,
I don't even know-
wrestlers.
Yeah, I don't even know if they were illegal back then though. 'Cause I know
It's
now,
the
right?
40s. I hope so. That's cheating, right?
I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, no. Steroids, you can't do that now, like professional settings or anything.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, Mary Hogan. She was 51.
Maybe related to Hulk Hogan. We don't know.
Not confirmed. But she worked at the local bar that Ed kind of like frequent. And so one night on December 8th, 1954, so Ed was there waiting for her, but he didn't wait inside the bar. He was outside. And while he was outside, he was kind of getting everything ready. Like he had a little sled. He had kind of like his path ready for him to do what he was going to do. So once everyone left the bar, he walked in, and so Mary was like, hey, we're closed. What the fuck are you doing here?
Right.
Go home. He didn't say anything to her. He just like walked straight up to her, like pointed the gun at her head and went,
What kind of gun?
it was like a .32?
A .32?
I don't know how to say it.
38?
No, it was 32.
A 32? Have you heard of that?
32.
A 32?
What?
A gun with a caliber 32? Because I know there's 38 specials.
I'm pretty sure it was 32. I know I read that.
Okay. Maybe there is, because there's a lot of rounds out there that are like non...
Well, this was what? It was 54, maybe. Could have been a little gun.
Yeah.
But anyway, he just went after her and shot her in the head, killing her instantly. So then he went through the back door, where he set up his sled and took her home, basically.
He took her home?
Yeah. But she was already dead at this
With
point.
a dead body.
Yeah, so he like dragged her all the way home. And so the sad thing is, no one really reported her missing or anything like that. At least from what I saw, I don't know if the police like kind of started to look into it, and they just like they're like, oh, it's a cold case, and they stopped because they did find like the blood and all that stuff there. But at least from what I saw, they didn't. I guess they didn't go too much into it or something, because they never found out what happened to her until they found her, like found her body when he got caught.
For another murder, right?
Yeah.
Not even for her.
Not even for her, yeah. So that's why I don't even, like, at least from what I read, it seemed as if no one even, like, looked for her, which is so
I
sad.
don't care.
No one cared. And that's
Wow, dude. What about like the family members, you know?
exactly. And so, like, that's, like, I mean, it is, like, you know, it is pretty sad, though, because, like, this one, like, I really had to look for, like, information on her stuff, because everyone talked about the second one, which is still bad, but...
Right.
It's like no one talks about poor little Mary.
I didn't know about Mary. I knew about the other one.
Yeah, no, Mary, she was the first one. And then I think it's like 3 years later. So he was pretty dormant from killing for 3 years until the second one, which is what got him caught. At least the official second one. For us, we know it could be the third one.
Or the 30th.
That is true. Because you never, I mean, at least with him, you never know. But at least for the second one, so her name was Patrice Warden. I don't know if she was the owner of the general store or if she was or she just like worked there. But apparently, supposedly, he had a crush on her because she strongly resembled his mother.
Of course. Fuck, man. This guy, dude.
Just love his mom.
Reminds me of Bates Motel. Oh, well, Bates Motel is based on him, right?
Yeah, it's Psycho, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and of course, like, like Hannibal and all that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so he sees his mom, kills her, right? Or
Yeah, well, so he went to the store one day and was like just talking to her because like people saw them together, and then he was like, I guess he asked her about some like antifreeze, and so he was like, oh, I'll come tomorrow and buy that. And she's like, yeah, sure, whatever. But the whole time that they're talking, her son, so Patrice's son, what's his name? His name is Frank, and he's actually the deputy sheriff.
I was like a deputy sheriff.
He's a pretty big time sheriff. No, he's a deputy sheriff actually.
Okay.
So he kind of was making like mental notes. He didn't like that at all.
Right.
He thought like he was weird, had a really strange feeling about him. Like he didn't like that he was like talking to his mom. So he kind of like checked that in his mind. He's like, I don't like that. So then the next day came, which was November 16th, 1957. I think it was, I couldn't really find who found the shop empty, if it was the son, but he was like the one that kind of like cracked the case in a way, like that made him point to Ed.
The son.
The son, yeah, because basically the next day, the shop is empty and they find that the register is empty as well. So they're like, oh, it's like a robbery. Like, I wonder what happened. So then as the cops are talking and stuff, Frank's like, actually, like, you guys should go look at this Ed guy because he's a little weird and he told my mom that he'll be here tomorrow. So then they look at the receipts and Ed was the last person to be there. Like, the last person to buy anything, and that was like early in the morning. So they're like, okay, this happened like basically like as soon as the shop opened at this point. And the funny thing is, at this point, guess where they arrested Ed, or like at least where they found Ed?
At the library.
No, he was with one of his neighbor's sons. He was driving him around because the son, I guess, was like, "Oh, hey Ed, can you take me like to this place?" Like a little boy. He was with the neighbor's sons.
These people had no fucking clue.
They had no clue at all. And this was, of course, later in the day. And now that we know now what happened to Patrice, it's just like the time in between that and like when he's just hanging out with the neighbors is like, it's kind of crazy.
No, okay, so I'm just thinking, right? Is it just because it was the 50s? Or is it, do you think he was just such a manipulator, like a great actor, right? I guess someone could say.
Yeah.
What do you think it was? Do you think it's just like the time?
I think it's like he was just so, I don't know, honestly. Probably like a manipulator because like how he was just always so isolated around people. He probably just never opened up to people in the first place.
Right.
Just never told them like his business. So he never thought about starting now. I don't know, but then again, it's like if you're like out there skinning people, I think you're a little weird.
I mean, weird is an understatement because I'm weird, right?
Yeah.
That dude, you skin somebody that you must have like some kind of like tendencies.
Yeah, so that's why maybe this might be a really weird.
Do you think he was just a cunning guy that he knew how to like trick people?
Because apparently, like he wasn't dumb. I mean, no, he may not have been a genius, but like he was pretty smart, like just like average knowledge, I guess. So it's like possibly he literally lived a double life.
Yeah, literally.
He literally lived a double life because no one ever went to his house either, you know?
Oh, Hannah Montana, dude.
No, don't use poor
That's a
Hannah.
Okay, I'm sorry. No offense to Hannah Montana.
No,
Oh, man.
so rude. Poor Hannah.
You mean Miley Cyrus?
Miley Cyrus, dude. Hannah Montana. That's Edward Gein, dude. That's the Hannah Montana of the serial killers.
No, but yeah, so police, that's where he found him and arrested him.
Okay, so they found him with a little boy, right? Do we know his age?
No, I mean, probably, but I just, at that part, like, I just didn't really, like,
Okay.
read too much into it.
Which is still kind of weird. You drive
I don't
out
know.
the parents. Like, why the
I think he was either at their house or he was at least with the neighbor.
He was
Yeah.
grocery shopping.
Yeah.
with the boy.
Well, I just read it. It said they found him at the grocery store.
Yeah. But I know he was, like, either, like, with the neighbors or at least with the son. Like, one of those.
So he gets caught, right?
Yeah, so he gets caught, you know, basically it's just like, it is what it is. And so they go to his house, because like, at this point, it's within the same day that she went missing too. This is just a couple hours, like a few hours later.
Mhm.
So they go to his house hoping to at least find her like, somewhere,
Right.
you know, alive. But no, when they went to his house, so not at all what they expected to find. Just an example of a few of the things. There's a
Okay,
pretty long
okay.
list.
Tell us.
So they found body parts, of course. They found all of his chairs. They were upholstered with human skin. He had skulls as bowls. He had a lampshade. Lampshades out of skin and faces. He had a pair of lips as like the window string thing. He had a box of 5 vulvas.
Of what?
Lady parts, vaginas,
Oh shit! Like in a jar?
in a box.
In a box?
5 of them. Just in a box.
Wow.
To, you know, I guess count.
I thought the nipple belt was like.
Yeah, 4 noses. And of
I
course,
saw that.
the nipple belt. But not only that, he also had basically a human bodysuit that he started making after his mom died in memory of her. So he can, whenever he just sits at home and he's like, I miss my mom. So he can literally crawl into her skin. That's why he made that bodysuit. And he also he had a face mask of someone else's face to be his mom. You know, just Friday night things.
Just regular Friday night, yeah.
Just regular
for
Friday
sure.
night things, you know, order
For
pizza
sure.
while you're wearing a human bodysuit that looks like your mom.
Where did he get? Wait, so they found 4 vaginas. Where did he
5.
get 5? Where did he get the other ones? He only killed 2, right?
Yeah, he only killed 2. So this all came out now after he was arrested. The cops asked him, and he was honest. I will give him that. You know, he didn't try to be like, oh no, that was me.
Right.
No, he was like, yeah, I did it.
4 vaginas in a jar. I don't know how that got there.
I thought, man, eBay,
The-
wrong descriptions. No, but yeah, he was like, yeah, that was me. So in that time, after his mom died, and especially during the 3 years where he was dormant, you know, didn't do anything, he was going to the graveyard and freshly buried bodies of women, he would go dig them up and steal the bodies. He would skin them. He was even practicing cannibalism because after his mom died, he was reading about cannibalism, satanic rituals, or no, not rituals, sorry, cults and stuff like that. Nazi adventures of cannibalism.
Nazis?
Mhm.
The Nazis did that?
Nazis did a lot.
Oh, I mean, I never knew they were cannibalists.
I think,
Cannibalism?
yeah,
You know, whatever.
something like that. I think they probably dabbled into it. Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, of course.
But
the fucking Nazis.
That stuff, and so anyway, but that's where they also found Patrice, though. She was already hung up, kind of like a deer, you know, she was upside down. She was in the shed.
Mhm.
Her feet were tied up, to the hook.
Oh, yeah. I
And
saw
she
that
was
picture.
cut open and dressed like a deer. So her head was already decapitated. It was in the house in the burlap sack. And reason how they found Mary, the first girl, they found her head, and they found like other body parts of hers, like just like throughout the house. So that's where they're like, oh shit, that's where Mary went. Here.
3 years ago, right?
3 years later.
No, but 3 years ago she died, and no one cared.
No one really looked further. That's how they knew what happened to Mary's, because her head's just in a box,
Right.
just chilling.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, but they did find Patrice's heart next to the stove.
I really know it was her heart.
It's a freshly cut out heart.
Oh, okay, so alright.
Just next to the stove, next to a pot.
You think he was like gonna eat it?
Just next to the stove.
So he was gonna eat it?
Probably gonna boil it, make some raviolis or something.
I mean, I've had heart before, not human heart, but I've had like I think it was a cow heart or something. I didn't like it. So I mean, yeah, I guess people could eat hearts, right?
You can eat anything.
Nah, I don't know about all that. Well, yeah, you're right, I guess, because I've had like liver too. I had cow liver.
Apparently, I had cow tongue when I was younger, and I refused to remember that.
Barbacoa, dude. Right? Barbacoa is cow tongue?
No.
It's not? Oh, I thought it was cow tongue.
No, sorry.
Huh.
It's pretty gross stuff.
Well, no, yeah.
Like he was grape robbing and skinning them, like making them out of furniture, their bones, and he was like also eating them as well. I guess like whatever was the extras leftovers became
Right.
Sunday night's dinner. Casually.
You know what like fucking blows my mind is that this guy, right, was living in a home skinning people for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does somebody live in such a home? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if I have like a fucking statue of something here, it will freak me the fuck out of it, right? I'm
Yeah.
a fucking scary cat. How did this guy manage to like get the balls to be around all this satanic? Well, I mean, I don't know if it was satanic, but all these like macabre things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's scary shit.
I mean, not, excusing any serial killers, but like, for example, like how Jeffrey Dahmer would leave his victims in the bathtub for a couple days. It's like, avoid the bathroom. He was making like furniture, like, of course, like masks, a belt and nipples.
Right.
Like, he was making stuff.
Right.
Which
And
is
like,
like,
pretty macabre ways.
and it's pretty gross.
Like I saw that picture of Homegirl, the upside down, because he was a taxidermist, right? I saw a picture of her, and I'm like, dude, that's like a ritual type of thing, man. Like that's like a fucking opening a portal to Satan or something, right?
I mean,
if you see the pictures, you're like, dude, like how can anybody live in this house?
Yeah, no, so what he did was he moved, like basically there was like a room off the side of the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
and that became his room. So he lived in like this like little 1-bedroom area inside a house.
Right.
So he like completely like shut himself out even then. Even by himself he
But
still shut him out.
but still, like the things are in the house, you know?
Yeah.
Like the
He's
energy.
eating the bowls. Like a bowl of cereal is like a skull.
Right, I heard.
Like, that's
I read
gross.
that. I read that.
A little crazy.
Like I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get how somebody can live in such environments, you know?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
So that's why it kind of goes into the whole conversation of nature versus nurture.
Nature versus
Like,
I
at
think it's
least
nurture.
you think he was more nurtured?
Yes. Absolutely.
No,
I
me
don't
too,
think-
for sure.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
at
Nobody's
least, like-
born to kill people. Well, not like that. I don't think so.
That's
man.
crazy. I don't know. That's why it's like, I don't know.
What do you think?
No, I 100% he was like nurtured into
Right?
it. Yeah. Because I mean, or I don't know. Because if you also look at his brother, like his brother was normal. I mean, like for the most part, was normal.
Mhm.
You know, he was probably like a little isolated and weird too, because that's how he grew up. But he wasn't, skinning people.
Right. It wasn't no Edward Gein.
Oh, I totally forgot this too. And the thing is, when the cops asked, like, well, did you do anything with these bodies? He was like, no, they smell too bad.
What do you mean, like have sex with them?
Yeah. because they were like, you know, like, what else did you do with them since you did all of this?
Right,
and he
like-
was like, no, I never had sex with them because it just like smelled too bad. And it's like,
Well, yeah, because they were already rotting, right? He was grave robbing them.
well, like fresh ones, but still, it's just like, like, what do you mean?
Dude, this guy was a nut job.
Yeah, but
This guy was a
he
nut
never
job.
went to prison.
Yeah, he did go to prison. He went to a mental institute, right?
Well, yeah,
Which is worse.
Well, he pleaded not guilty
Mm-hmm.
for a reason of insanity. He was also
Yeah.
to be unfit for court. So when he went to the mental hospital, that's when they diagnosed him with schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia?
Yeah. So apparently he was schizo a little bit.
Well, I've researched that. It comes from the word hechizofrenia, meaning fear of spell casting, some shit like that. Because hechizo means spell in Spanish,
Mhm.
and in phrenia, of course, the fear of, right?
Yeah.
Just like what I researched was like it was like witchcraft things.
So
Yeah, dude. It
I don't
was,
know.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, but that's what he had for a while. So it makes you kind of think too. Like, I wonder if like, I guess he was making the human suits
Mhm.
basically to kind of be like his mother. Because you know, like in Psycho, for example, how he like preserved his mom's actual body.
Right.
So I wonder if like in the real life version, he was just kind of like trying to make his mom again. Because you know what I mean.
Oh, okay. So like, bring her back to life?
Basically, not so much bring her back to life, but like he like used the human suit or whatever to be able to like talk to her.
Dude, I don't know. It's just weird. I thought I knew everything about my boy, but it's fuck, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. It's pretty weird.
Okay, so all that happened,
Yeah.
and you say he didn't go to prison? I
No.
thought he did go to prison.
So I mean, he did serve the rest of his life inside that mental institute, and so
Uh-huh.
of course, like I guess it could be a prison as well, but he never went to actual like jail though.
Right.
Because he was just immediately unfit for court, I mean, and he was found, like, basically, like, the reason for he was not guilty for the reason of insanity, which they all, like, agreed with.
Of course.
But he ended up dying in 84 at the age of 77. He had liver cancer, but he mainly died of heart and liver failure. So basically his body just like gave out at that point.
Right.
But with his property, so around, I think it was like around the time of the trials, it became like a huge like unofficial tourist attraction, and of course like the town hated it
Right.
because of like what the house represented, and so all of a sudden like the house just caught on fire. Everything was destroyed in this like random house fire.
Mm.
And so I guess when they told Ed, like, hey, this is what happened to your property, he was just like, basically it was like, it just be like that sometimes, and it is what it is.
Wow.
And even in death, his tombstone, people would, like, souvenir people, they would go and like chip away at his tombstone for like keepsakes, and eventually in 2001, it was just stolen, just the whole thing, someone stole it. And then a year later, they found it again. So now it's still at the, like their local police department. It's like storage room, just, on the shelf.
He became I don't want to say a hero, but he became like a legend, I guess you might say.
He definitely became notorious, for sure. That's why it kind of goes into the whole, like, is he technically like a serial killer? Or is he just like a really like disturbed, like, grave robber or something like that, you know?
I mean, I think so. Yeah, he's a serial killer and beyond. I mean,
Yeah.
he killed more than one, so right,
Mhm.
technically.
Yeah.
And then his brother, that's 3.
As far as we know,
Right.
supposedly.
So they burned down his house.
Mhm. But like no one ever got in trouble for it or anything like that. It was just kind of like they all turned like a blind eye towards it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you really can't blame them either at the same time.
They should have used that fame, dude. They should have used that fame to get that little town up and running.
Well, I mean, this was, back
It's a
then, and they were
bullshit-ass town.
like, fuck this. I want to be known as like,
I mean,
A shed
it's
where
either
they
that
butchered.
or you're not gonna be known at all,
wow.
right?
I mean, they still ended up being known anyway.
Yeah, true. I researched because I wanted to plan a trip over there to Plainsfield. It's not that far. I mean, it is, but You can go into that land. Somebody bought that land. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
You could just go in there and like, check it out.
I don't know, man. I'd be way too scared.
That would
I'm
be
too
badass,
sensitive to
dude.
that shit.
That'd be badass, dude. That fucking, oh man.
Hell no. I'm way too sensitive to
Yeah.
ghosts and stuff. I can't do that.
But he's not there though. Oh, but the people, yeah, you're right.
Beautiful.
The energy in that fucking field must be weird.
You go to his graveyard.
No, yeah, you can. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
His grave is unmarked, but
Because they stole the thing, right?
well, even afterwards, they just never remarked it. But he's buried with his family, so it's not like unknown.
Everybody knows where he's
Yeah.
He's
It just doesn't have the official, I guess, tombstone.
Yeah.
Poor guy, man. We should probably go race. Nah, we shouldn't, man. I mean, he died. He died, right? Everybody deserves a tombstone, right?
I mean,
No, right? No? Am I thinking too weird? Okay.
I mean,
Fuck
it's
him then.
great
Fuck
that
his-
you have a heart, but I think, it's been a few years. Why fix it if it ain't
Yeah,
broken,
you're right.
you know?
Yeah, you're right. He's probably
Yeah,
I don't
not
know.
everybody needs a tombstone.
right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude.
Nobody.
Yeah, what he did was fucked up, but like.
Somebody didn't get it. He was thrown in the ocean. Hitler.
Was-
I don't know. Does Hitler have a tombstone?
No,
I
he
don't think
escaped.
so.
No, he escaped.
What the alleged body they found is
Was fake.
they don't, right?
Yeah, it was fake. Dude. Russia
Yeah.
Russia came out and said that it was fake.
Mussolini.
Oh, I don't know about him.
Does he have it a gravesite?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
Got all these big bad people.
I don't know, would people like not even have one, or would they
You
have
wa-
like
you
a
don't-
temple?
I don't think you want
I
that.
have no clue. I have no clue.
It's
Weird
it's
that,
to
Yeah.
erase them from history. That's the thing. It's like no, we'll keep them like in the history book, but we will not have a physical.
You know who does have a tombstone? Pancho Villa, dude. He has a tombstone and it's in Coahuila, and I want to go see it so bad. So bad. We should make a trip over there. Anyway, so that's another thing, man. That's another thing.
Is another thing. What do you think about our Sir Ed Gein?
Did we surprise you with any new information that you might not know?
Well, I didn't really know who he was. So,
Really?
Yeah.
If you like look at a picture of him, he just looks
Yeah, that's all.
normal. You
Yeah.
know?
Dude, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know who he was?
I know that the movie like that, but I didn't know that it was based off this guy.
Really? I thought everybody knew that, especially like everybody from Texas.
No, I thought like everybody, it's a Texas thing. Not into. A teacher one time said it like, oh, it's not from Texas. Like, oh, okay, but I never went into it. I'm like, okay, yeah. The things he did, and yeah, it's kind of just weird. I'm like, what the fuck?
No, man, that's not weird, man. Weird is an understatement, right?
And he did say, like, I guess when he went grave robbing, that he wasn't there. He was like, not like sleepwalking. It's like something else. It's like he's
Probably like one of his episodes.
yeah, he was looking at the episode. He wasn't there, and he told the police that nine times that I guess when he was in it, he came out of it and he realized like, oh, he's in the graves in the cemetery. He just packed up and left without doing anything. He's like, what am I doing over here?
Huh. French fries with mayonnaise. That's weird,
Oh my god.
right?
Yes.
When you pee purple because you eat some beets. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
Having a belt out of nipples. That's some other shit, man.
I just wonder what
Right?
the progression was though. Because if you look at a lot of serial killers, like
Uh-huh.
it'll go to like assaults, then to like actual like borderline death assaults. Like they get like worse and worse and worse, and eventually it gets to like murder and all this other stuff. He just went like fucking full force.
He skipped the line,
He
right?
just was just like nope. So it's just like what was that transition there? Because even like from the first girl married, he was already like he decapitated her. He was doing all that other stuff to her body too.
Not to mention like the animals that he'll like kill, because he was a taxidermist, right?
That I don't know. I wasn't
I
able to
think he
find
was.
that. But, I mean, he has so many different like little jobs, so he probably knew how to do that too. But you can definitely see the inspiration for Psycho with how he is with his mom.
Bates Motel.
Bates
It's a
Motel.
badass show.
That is a good show. Loki kind of sad they like canceled it.
No, it's what?
Yeah, they canceled it.
Bates Motel?
Yes.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
I just watched the whole thing.
I mean, it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah. They canceled it.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I never seen it, but I think I heard
You
of
should
it.
watch
is a
it.
good
It's
show.
pretty badass, dude. It's about Ed Gein. It's about him and his childhood with his mama.
Oh yeah.
What?
Oh no, I was thinking like how his dad was and how the mom was like very isolating towards him.
Well, Bates Motel?
Yeah, I never really, I guess, thought.
Yeah, and then he kills his mom. He
Well, I mean,
falls in love with her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's kind of was always like in love with his mom.
Yeah.
The whole show.
But the mom too, though. Like the mom kind of like.
Yeah, that.
Well, in the show, I don't know
In-
about Gein.
Yeah, no. In the show, it was a little like there were some
Yeah.
scenes I was like,
Yeah, the mom was like, okay, man, like that's not
That's
cool.
weird.
dude.
yeah,
Like
but
overprotective, I guess.
I don't know. But yeah, that was good old Ed Gein.
Theodore, the Teddy, the Teddy killer. Damn. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that then.
Well, thanks, guys.
Make sure you subscribe, right?
Yeah.
Follow, like,
And let
comment.
us know who else you guys want us to talk about. I mean.
And were you surprised at what you heard? Till next time.
Till next time. On the next episode of Dragon